Okay, can y'all hear me okay right now?
Are you ready?
Streaming live around the world, this is Paper Cuts with Brad and Jay. I'm the one you love. I'm Jay. Thanks so much for stopping by. Over there's Brad. It's his show.
It's his show. That's why I'm the host, and we just love Jay.
Now you know it's all natural. I mean, nothing's rehearsed, right?
No, absolutely nothing is rehearsed on this show.
God, you just suck the life out of me. It feels like
You've got a lot grayer since we started this.
I have. I know. I have. Tonight, welcome to the program, William Sterling. He's a spooky son of a bitch.
We are live.
Well, hello there. Happy Paper Cuts Day, everyone. Welcome to our little shindig. Thanks for joining us. For those new to Paper Cuts, the Paper Cuts world, I'm Jay. That's Brad over there. We are the stars. No, I'm not. We're not stars. I'm joking.
You're the rock star, Jay.
Yeah. So what we do, we talk to people. They talk to us, and you, the listeners, you guys listen with excitement on the edge of your seat. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you only need the edge. Oh, starting off great on this Friday. Okay, so this evening, everyone, we have a fellow podcaster for now, and since I'm also published, and I can say a fellow writer. Since I'm also published, Brad, I can say a fellow.
I'm technically published now too. I'm published.
Are you?
I wrote stuff and they put it in Siren's Call. I'm published.
Okay, but no,
It's not fiction.
I have something that's in an actual book that's been released though. I wasn't even talking about Siren. I wasn't even talking about Sirens. I was talking about
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
I have a little essay in someone's book to introduce another book. So there you go. Yeah. So I can say a fellow writer.
Bow down, Jay. Bow down, Jay.
His new book about small town murder puppets. What? What? It's called String 'Em Up. Released next week with Crystal Lake Publishing. Everyone, welcome to the show, William Sterling. And the announcer dude said you're a spooky son of a bitch, so I don't know what that's all about.
They're not wrong.
Welcome to the show, William. How are things going tonight?
It's good. It's good. I'm feeling a lot better now that I'm here. Long, monotonous work week, and
that makes us feel good. like we were something to look forward to.
So
your
expectations are low if you're looking forward to us.
Next question. Okay.
What are you usually doing on? Still in the question, Jay. What are you usually doing on Friday night?
Well, it's better than
not Saturday.
It's better than how did. Never mind.
Don't, Jay. Don't do it.
Wow, we're getting off pretty good on this one, guys.
Yeah.
What
are you normally doing on a weekend? Watching us, of course.
Yeah. No, I try to jump in here as often as I can when the kids allow me to.
Mm-hmm.
I've got two little monsters that are probably upstairs screaming at mom right now, so glad to be hiding from that.
Thanks to all the moms out there.
Thank you, Jesse. But yeah, it usually ends up with a Braves game on or a horror movie on in the background. And Jay,
they're coming back right now. By the way, they're coming. They're still down 4-2, I think. But
yeah, it's the Marlins though. They don't have a bullpen, so we'll be fine.
Yeah. 4-3. I'm sorry,
Braves,
4-3. Acuna just hit a sac fly, so it's 4-3. By the way.
Sweet.
Speaking of Braves,
are we allowed to speak about
tuned.
that, or are we gonna get demonetized or something?
I don't think you'll get demonetized for that. But speaking of Braves, if you're a Braves fan, stay tuned. We'll play some baseball stuff later, maybe.
Or if you're not a Braves fan, stay
Bye.
tuned. Still,
stay tuned anyway.
Gosh, Brad, you lost half our audience. We went down from 2 to 1.
All right. So before we dive into your new book, I want to ask you about your trilogy, the Killer Be Killed trilogy. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah,
but it sounds like just straight up like slasher fun. Is that fair to say?
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, that's the entire point of it. I kind of started it off while I was in like a writer crisis mode. I had been self-publishing for a bunch of years, wasn't really getting any traction with it, was starting to not love it as much anymore. Because I kept trying to force myself to like write to market and write to genre and write all these things that I wasn't excited about. So I think Kill or Be Killed kind of started as my last gasp of let's just write something that I'm really want to do. So the premise is the first one was a reverse camp slasher novel. So that idea that anytime you're watching a camp slasher, like you usually end up cheering for the killer, right? You want Jason to come out of the woods and wreck people.
The main characters are really annoying. So
right. But also you feel kind of bad cheering for a monster to go murder a bunch of people. So you're kind of reserved about that. So I just wanted to write a book where you were like wholeheartedly encouraged to cheer for the thing from the woods coming in and just massacring this camp. I had a ton of fun writing it, and that was like the only goal, but it like re-sparked my enjoyment for everything. I think it was kind of a launch point into String Them Up, because that was one of the books I'd written that I was kind of wrestling with a little bit, and remembering to have fun with things like helped String Them Up click, helped everything else clicked. It helped me find my voice, whatever that means.
So is it the same killer throughout the entire trilogy, or is it different killers for each book?
Yeah, a little bit.
Stuff?
So,
I don't want to give anything away if it spoils anything.
Yeah, no. After I finished the first one, I realized there were still enough characters alive, and I was having enough fun in that universe that I just kind of pushed the core family into a second book, and I figured out what kind of an arc would make sense for at least a couple of them to make it all the way into a book 3, and just kind of like keep driving it. It's still fun for me, so I'm having a good time doing it, and it is not anything highbrow. It is not anything like let's go try to win a Stoker. It's just like I want to kill some bodies in fun, unique ways and enjoy it.
Are we talking like creative kills like in Jason and stuff?
Yeah,
like over the top creative stuff that makes me laugh in the movies. Like I get a kick out. The more creative, the better. So that's what we're looking at. Okay.
I went in with the goal of I do not want a single mundane kill. Like nobody just takes a machete through the neck. Like everything's gonna be an explosion of
bombastic
nonsense.
Nice. So I've seen you. You've created like a mask for the series too. Like you were given masking. So did you do those yourself?
Got a whole wall of them still sitting over here. The inciting incident for the thing is that the counselors at the camp in Kill or Be Killed 1 are members of this cult, and when they go to do their ritual of sacrificing all the campers, and this is in like chapter 2, so I'm not spoiling anything. When they go to kill all the campers, they don the wolf masks for anonymity. So I have a friend that works in a place with a big industrial 3D printer, and he was like,
"Ooh, cool."
We just collaborated on it a little bit, and he just knocked out 12, 13 of them. Yeah, Mike has one of those. I think, I don't know, what did I send you? The white one?
If the king of swag is giving you props for your swag, then you're right.
Right. That is the highest compliment I'm gonna get. Yeah, I'm buzzing right now. Cool.
And Mike just said he's buying himself a 3D printer to one up you on that. Yeah.
Do it. I will assist however I can.
Yeah.
He says he's got the black one that you said.
Yeah, that's right.
Wonder if Best Buy has any 3D printers. We ought to just go ahead and chip in on one.
That's super cool though to have something like tangible like that. And other than bookmarks and stickers and all that stuff is cool, but like a physical mask that's part of your story is really cool to have that.
Yeah, I was actually inspired a lot by Michael to try to do some sort of a promo thing for every book that had a unique thing. So this is a good segue for me to plug something. Hang on.
So yeah, you've got the creepy dolls, don't you?
Yeah. So with Kill or Be Killed, it was a cool mask giveaway kind of for the first one, and for this one, Crystal Lake gave me the okay to give away this possessed little nightmare of a doll here. I need to do the full pitch, I guess. If you pre-order String Them Up and email Crystal Lake a receipt like showing that you pre-ordered it, you get an entry to win Sally the doll. And she is terrifying. Yeah, I don't like her at all. Somebody please win this thing and get it out of my house.
Okay, what you got?
For
What's
for
the
the for the,
backstory?
for the kids tuning in right now, they're crying. Okay, they are just
Right.
crying right now. But
What's the backstory for Sally? Like, did you make her for this, or has she been around for like you dug her up out of the attic or something?
No. Actually, maybe I don't really know. So the long
Just think of a
story.
backstory, yeah.
I'll try to keep it as short as possible. So there was a horror festival in Athens, Georgia, this May called Athfest Mayhem. Effectively, there was an undergraduate student that her dream is to open a horror theme park. So
Okay.
she's in their entrepreneurship program. For her final project, she needed to prove the validity of this thing by staging a Halloween thing in a not Halloween month, which makes sense. So in May, she had a big horror festival in Athens and invited a bunch of just like spooky vendors to come and had spooky themed bands and all of that stuff. So I went because I work at the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. I know I just pissed off both of you.
No, I'm a UK fan, but it's SEC, so I'll let it slide.
Okay, thank you. But I went to that thing, and one of the vendors was this like cursed doll creator. So Crystal Lake had picked up String Them Up by then. I knew that I wanted to do some sort of a promo thing for it, so I got to talking to her, and she offered to make Sally for me.
Nice.
There's a
That's
couple of little tie-ins to the book on here, but
Okay.
we'll leave that alone maybe. But yeah, I do not know how she makes the dolls, but this thing is like, it is really creepy. The flesh is burned. I don't know how she got that
It looks like
effect
it's
on a
been burned.
plastic
Yeah.
thing. The eye is full of, I think that's animal fur, and there's like a reptile skin around her eyeball.
Oh, no, I don't like
there
that.
is. Oh,
It's really cool.
that's pretty
I
cool.
don't know how she did
I
it,
couldn't
and
make
I
out, I couldn't make out the
actively,
texture till now. She got really close. I saw. Okay, that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
I do not want to ask any questions about it though. Like whatever she did to create this thing, I'm just gonna leave it alone. Like, yep, looks good, great job. I'm freaked out thoroughly though.
Not
Yeah,
that
that
this
looks
has anything
terrifying.
to do with it, but I used to live in this little town in southern Ohio when I was working in radio. I was moving around, and I forget what kind of dolls these are, but there was a doll factory in this little town. These are like popular dolls that they used to sell on like QVC and stuff like that, you know. And Steven Soderbergh actually did a short, weird, independent movie at this doll factory. Like this was many years ago, like probably 14, 15 years ago. And in the back, there was this dumpster full of doll heads. That was the coolest thing I ever saw. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Did you grab any?
No, this was like
Oh, you needed to
this
load
was
up.
ages ago. It was blocked off. It was there was no way I could get to it because it was like a mini movie set.
Okay.
So yeah.
You found the
Well-
mother load and you walked away.
Well, no, I couldn't get to it. I mean, Steven Soderbergh's there, like directing. This was all no-name people in this movie, right? And there's because they wanted to do it like in a small town. I saw these doll heads. I was like, man, and then it was totally blocked off, gated out, and stuff. You couldn't get to it. So
That's when you sneak in, Jay.
yeah,
When no one's when they're least expecting it.
that had nothing to do with what he was talking about. It was just the dolls reminded me. Sorry.
Ronaldo's in the chat saying what's up.
Ronaldo,
What's going on, man?
my friend. Hey.
Best dumpster Jay ever saw.
Best up
So
yet.
with the Killer Be Kill books, are they all out now, or is the third one still yet to come?
No, the third one is outlined, and I'm trying to get through the last like push of promo for this, and then it's next on my radar. But I've got the first one out, and then the second one moves away from the camp slashers and goes more into like a reverse home invasion.
Score update 4-4 now, by the way.
Yes,
Yay.
go Brave. And then the third one, I'm gonna play close to the chest because I don't want to like quite reveal where it's going yet. But
Okay.
it's another like anti-slasher or turnaround slasher.
How far do you think you're going to go with them? Or is this going to be like anytime you feel like you need to revamp yourself, you just going to do one? Or is there like an end in sight?
I I've got an arc that I want to end on the third one.
Okay.
So as far as like the primary trilogy, like it's going to be contained. I also said that about the first one, though. Like, yeah, no, this is just a solo book. I'm not going to go anywhere. And then I just kept thinking about it, and like I developed a story that I wanted to keep telling out of it. So
Yeah.
I guess if that happens again, I'm not going to close the door.
So never say never.
Right.
You know?
It's not the plan, at least.
Yeah.
The plan is to end it at 3 because I think I've got a way to like put a nice little bow on everything for me.
Yeah.
So are you a big fan of slashers, or was it just more so that you felt like a slasher was just something kind of easier to write to sort of get your juices flowing and everything?
I'm one of those people that kind of I can dive into any horror subgenre at any point, just kind of depending on the mood. Like I can do a good A24 film if it's a like let's think about something kind of a night, or I can do a mindless slasher if it's been a long week at work and I just want to turn brain off for a while, go smooth brain. Like what so yeah, sorry to answer your question. I love slashers. They're amazing. I don't feel like it's my niche or anything like that, but yeah, a lot of love.
Are there any specific ones that inspired the Kill or Be Killed trilogy, like Scream or the '80s Jason and Michael and all that stuff? Or
yeah, the first Kill or Be Killed is very much a Friday the 13th kind of sleepaway camp, kind of a homage.
Sleepaway camp's what it sounds like. So.
Yeah, and then the second one gets a lot more into like You're Next and the home invasion kind of stuff.
I was gonna say the wolf mask made me think of You're Next.
Yeah. So
it kind of moves into the newer era of slasher.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So then the last one, I've got a couple of kind of newer movies that I'm looking at for inspiration, and again in the slasher vein, but like kind of maybe the next generation of them.
Yeah.
If we went 80s slashers with the first one and maybe 90s 2000s slashers with the middle one, we'll look into the 2020s for the third one.
That's cool that you're still slasher. Yeah, I'm sure there is. The new Scream just came out.
yeah, that's true. Okay.
That's cool that you're sticking with slasher, but each one you're nuancing it where it's different each time. It's not just the same, they're going to a camp or whatever each time. That's cool. You're switching it up, but still making it slasher centric.
Yeah, I'm overselling it a little bit here. Like this sounds very like intentional. Like,
did you say slasher centric?
Slasher centric. Yeah, Jay. I'm coining that right now.
We're having a slash-tastic time.
Slash-tastics.
We're here all week.
We'll send it to Stephen Graham Jones. Tell him slash centric is a new thing that he needs to incorporate.
So let's get into your new one here. You're stringing them up.
Let's do
like publishing. What's the background? What's the concept of this one? What are we finding out here with this book, this new one here?
Yeah. So String Them Up is about this detective that gets his life kind of upended back in the big city where he's been working for a long time and like been stuck in the corruption and all of that usual jazz. He tries to get away from it and goes and accepts a job with a former coworker of his that is now the sheriff in this very small town. It's kind of pitched to Sinclair, our main character, as this just come out here, reset, nothing ever happens out here, and you can just vibe for a little bit, sort of a thing. But then as Sinclair gets out here, he realizes that things are terribly wrong in this town. Actually, it's not just this quiet, sleepy retreat that he was promised, but stuff's going on around here, and all of the things kind of happening in the corners bring him face to face with the deranged toy maker that lives on the outskirts of town. And as soon as they bump into each other, just everything blows up. Mm-hmm. And we go full Chucky meets Devil's Creek by Todd Kiesling and just light everything on fire and let's go.
now I'm imagining Chucky in Devil's Creek. That's like a song mashup.
Chucky would have had so much fun.
Yeah.
It It was making me think of Slappy from Goosebumps. Is what the vibe.
Yeah,
Obviously,
you mentioned
way
that
more
earlier.
adult, but Slappy, yeah.
I saw you mention that on Twitter, and I was just thinking, yes, but I don't think my 10-year-old is going to read this one though.
No,
yeah,
this
please
one's not. This is not the kids' version.
No,
no.
no.
We've got a hard R rating on this one.
Did you get any kind of inspiration from Goosebumps, or is this Brad just out of his noggin with that?
Yeah. So I think I said this earlier, but this one started as my, like, let's be very serious with this and try to write my serious horror novel. So the first time through, I didn't draw a lot of inspiration from other stuff, which I think was the problem with some of those earlier drafts.
Yeah.
I just tried to play it all very, very, I don't know, highbrow, elevated horror, like going for that sort of an energy, and it wasn't working. So I tabled it for a long time and got into like this new puppet wave that's showing up suddenly out of nowhere. Like the Megan movie came out while I had this thing on the back burner, and Grady Hendrix started talking about how to sell a haunted house while this thing was on the back burner, and just like all these other books and things that are very like puppet centric. Chucky got a new TV series, and just watching those again and remembering just how much fun all of them have with this sort of a subject matter made me go back and revisit it and kind of give it the kill or be killed treatment of like, okay, I have this fairly bland story that I tried to be too with. I just need to cut loose and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So I went back and I infused some Chucky into it, and I infused some Dead Silence into it, and just anything else I could come up with. Yes,
I'm glad you keep saying to enjoy yourself and to make it fun, because I get the sense sometimes when we're talking to some writers that it was excruciating at times, and not everybody. Right. I mean, you just sometimes get that, and when the writer's having fun and making it fun and enjoying yourself, I think that comes across a little bit more to the reader too, because there are times you're like, where the hell did that come from? And you'll get a little giggle out of it, and I think you could sometimes tell when the writers just have a good time and enjoying themselves doing it. So I'm glad you keep saying that, because I mean, that's the way I'm trying to make my stuff, just make it not totally off the wall bonkers all the time, but stay loose, and it doesn't have to be super congested and tight all the time. So I'm glad you're saying you're having some fun and enjoying yourself doing that. So
I'm curious, were the dolls and everything, were they in the highbrow version of it? Because I just can't put those two together, like dolls and highbrow, like really highbrow A24 movie.
I'm thinking dolls at a fancy restaurant drinking some champagne or something,
Like was the doll just like completely like a whole different thing once you went back to it, or was that like the original thought process for it?
Yeah. So what you're saying right now is part of why those original versions didn't work. So I was trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, right?
Okay.
I had this concept that should have been a lot of fun, should have just been like weird and wacky and kind of creative. And instead of actually leaning into the puppet aspect of it, I was trying to lean into, there's this whole subplot where trying to figure out how to say this without spoiling everything in the book.
Just give it all away.
Sinclair, the main character, has this traumatic experience that he's trying to recover from, and he's doing it in the wrong way. And the main antagonist in the book is Gregory, and he also has this very traumatic experience from his past that he's trying to grapple with, and he's dealing with it in the wrong way. And the two of them kind of have these parallel trajectories that Sinclair, at a certain point in the book that I'll not mention by name, at a certain point kind of has to recognize that for himself and actively change his own path. So the first time I wrote it, that was the forefront of the entire book, just trying to play up that interpersonal drama, trying to sideline anything that actually might have made the book interesting. It was just all about those two warring perspectives on things. So the rewrites and making it fun was not killing that subplot, but making it supplemental instead of the main selling point.
Right.
And as soon as I went back with that, it started clicking again. It was fun again, and the puppets were at the forefront. The puppets were running around doing puppety things, and yeah.
Do you think if you would have kept it the way it was originally, like starting off, you may have maybe painted yourself into your corner a few times and got stuck, and
yes,
and then making it more loose and fun and enjoying yourself, you maybe found a few ways to get out of certain situations? Okay.
100%. I had at least 3 different and somehow Palpatine returned moments in the first draft. And then going back and rewriting it with the puppets, it was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense that this thing would be doing this thing at this point, and this is why everybody's screaming and running in circles is because of this. And this is going to make no sense without any context, but there are peacocks running around this town.
Peacocks were awesome. I love the peacocks.
Thank you. Super traumatic story from my background there, but basically small town rural peacocks got worked into this thing when I decided to just fuck it, have fun with it. And they became this core element of the story for me once they were in there, and helped everything else just kind of sing and play up a little bit.
Were they killer peacocks? I haven't gotten that far. I'm only first quarter of it. Still,
you'll have to read it and find out, Jay.
Okay. Killer peacocks.
There's a cool scene with a doll on a peacock's back, which I just thought was absolutely hilarious in the best of ways.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So, I can't remember what I was gonna say now, but the parallel between Sinclair and Gregory, I actually really like that a lot.
Thanks.
I didn't really realize it at first, but once you sort of unveiled it, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. And to do another Star Wars reference is kind of like Luke and Vader. Like he chose to throw the lightsaber away and not go to the dark side, which I really liked.
Dude, you're only allowed 2 Star Wars references per season.
He did one out of per season.
Per season? Yes. Not per show, per season. So you use those. Was
Umble this season? I can't remember because we talked about Star Wars with him.
I don't even know what episode this is, buddy.
Our seasons are the most loose thing ever. But I did really like the parallels and him choosing not to follow in the footsteps of Gregory with whatever would have happened there. I like that a lot. That was good. I don't even feel like it was a subplot. It was just great character growth and progression, I think.
So I'm thinking the real question is, what happened to you in your past to make you write this?
Peacocks. What's the traumatic?
What happened to make you have all these weird, spooky ass dolls and to write this story? Okay, something.
If you don't want to tell the peacock story, obviously you don't have to.
No. We're gonna get real this Friday night. We're gonna get emotional. Okay, what happened?
I've got my emotional support Sally here.
Yeah. Start stroking it.
No, for real. If you don't want to tell the peacock story, you don't have to.
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
This is 2 separate stories though. So what do we want to start with? The dolls or the peacocks?
I don't know, but you might want to tell your wife not to watch. Put the kids to sleep.
Let's do the dolls first because they're like the core of the book almost. Let's talk about the dolls.
Okay, so I think the dolls came from, I've got an aunt and an uncle that live in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. They live in one of those houses that's genuinely from the 1800s or the early 1900s. It has been in the middle of that city forever. And I don't think they've renovated it since then either.
Oh, wow.
So every time we go over there to visit, my brother and I would be relegated to sleep in the attic because they only had so many bedrooms. So we go up into the attic, and the attic is this unfinished attic. They've laid down a bunch of plywood boards to make a quote unquote floor across the thing, but there's still these gaps between the boards that they're like, all right, when you wake up in the middle of the night, just don't step through the hole. The single light bulb hanging from a swinging rope in the ceiling, all the spooky vibes you can come up with. And there's just this bed sitting in the corner. So my brother and I would get taken up there and just like, yeah, sleep in the bed. It'll be fine. And they're also all like big drinking buddies. So like my wholly inebriated parents are just bringing the 3 and 5-year-old upstairs and being like, yeah, you're fine. Deal with it. But my aunt is also a collector of antique dolls. So she keeps them in the attic because uncle doesn't want them like all around the house. Right. So there's just this wall of pseudo lifelike things staring across the room at us in the middle of the night.
The eyes are probably glowing a little bit, aren't they?
Yup. Yeah, of course, because there's the window with like the moon shining through it, and of course those freaking eyes keep catching the light a little bit. It was nightmare fuel. We got put to bed. I'm fairly certain those were the only nights as we were growing up that we did not go pester our parents in the night. Like, Mommy, I'm thirsty. Mommy, I need to go to the bathroom. Like, we just stayed in that bed. We were not moving.
Do not get up.
So yeah, I guess when I was thinking about writing String Them Up, I had this idea that I wanted the people grappling with grief, and I wanted that crossroads like I was talking about. And I think the puppets kind of came about because I was trying to think of some horror elements to match with that storyline of people projecting their emotions and projecting their like issues onto another sort of a creature or another sort of a being. And puppets are just kind of a natural thing to do that with. And dolls, like whenever kids are playing with dolls, they're projecting their own thoughts and feelings onto that. And they're this usually good conduit for getting some insight into what's going on in their head. So trying to merge those two, I think, was my initial response. And then it was like, yeah, and I know puppets can be creepy because Birmingham.
Because they are.
Right.
I like, was there ever any like weird supernatural stuff you experienced there, or just the creepy dolls by themselves?
No, it was just the creepy dolls by themselves, fortunately. None of them ever moved or like woke up in the bed with us.
Yeah, that if it's in the middle of you and your brother, just completely freak out.
Right. And I'm so mad at myself because I was the older brother and I was supposed to be the one going and getting the doll and like screwing with my little brother with stuff like that. And I just
were they the old porcelain Victorian kind of dolls? Or okay, yeah, those are just freaky to begin with. I don't know. The faces already look kind of distorted and weird with those.
Hang on, I've got pictures. I can throw them in the chat if I can get my mouse to work.
You need the
and I can talk while I'm looking for them.
The episode of Seinfeld when the George Costanza mom doll.
Oh yes,
looks just like doll looks just like his mom. That was freaky right there.
When Sinclair and Johnny, the sheriff, drove up to the Rochester house for the first time, in the tree, it's got all the dolls hanging. I don't know if you've ever seen. There's an episode of Ghost Adventures, and I think it's called Doll Island. They go to this island, and everything is covered in dolls. There's like a house in the middle, and all the trees outside are just covered in dolls everywhere. That's what it reminded me of. I don't know if you watch Ghost Adventures or anything, but
no, I missed that one.
You should check out that. I think it's called Doll Island, and everything there. And one of the ghost guys is terrified of dolls anyway, which just makes it even funnier. And one of them starts talking in the middle of the night, like its batteries are going off or whatever. But it's pretty cool.
I've been learning that a lot of people have these deep-seated fears of dolls, and like I get it.
Oh,
I just didn't realize that
Brad,
was
you got to get that picture, Brad, and put that in there.
Let's see.
Are you able to grab that?
Yeah, let me try to share it real quick so everyone can see. Share.
Yeah, so these are. I emailed my aunt about a month
I got it up
ago.
here. I could probably get it real quick.
Yeah, I emailed her about a month ago asking if the wall of dolls was still there. And these are the pictures she sent me back. There's only like 10 of them left, which makes me wonder where the rest went.
Where did they go?
Because she wouldn't have sold them.
They're hiding out, waiting. They're just waiting in the wings, waiting to do something.
Yeah, that was one of them. And I think that one was hanging like a little bit closer to the bed. Yeah. Not a fan. Not good memories.
Terrible memories. Yeah, I would not like sleeping with all those staring at me. That would be not fun whatsoever.
And like,
Mike Clark, oh no, hell no, dolls.
And there's nothing overtly sinister about them, right? Like there's
No,
nothing
no,
about
I mean,
that that's like dripping blood or
It's the stare. It's something about just
Yeah.
the stare.
never blinks.
And I can imagine, like you said, it's like the chain light, and if it swings and it catches their eyes, it looks
Mhm.
like their eyes are moving at you too.
And all the shadows move around behind them a little bit too and dance, and it's just not no.
So I mean, a good publicity thing for the book is to maybe send a doll with each book. Tell Crystal Lake to get on board with that.
I'm so mad at Robert Atone because he did that for
Little
the bio
babies.
things we created. He's got the little babies. Like, damn it, that's perfect. I should have stolen that.
Yeah, it's a stare, right? I mean, it's man,
It's the
just like
creepy stare.
so
They
cold
don't
going
blink.
right through you. Yeah,
It's like you move around, looks like they're following you, like those paintings do sometimes.
yeah, really.
Yes.
Ronald's got a
That's-
question for you. Aside from making your writing fun, have you ever used your work to vent? Like someone pissed you off at work or something, and you just went home and wrote something really gory. Have you killed your coworkers in your fiction? Maybe you don't want to answer that question.
Okay, so sort of two answers, and I'm going to get in so much trouble for the first half of this answer. Kill or be killed. The first one with the camp counselors. The camp counselors are these like corrupt, heinous, like teenagers / early 20s people. And I was trying to make sure their voices came across right, and the little cliques within the cults group came across right, and everything else. And I was a high school teacher for about 8 years, so I'm not going to say that any of the cultists were inspired directly by students that I had, but there are phrases that they say to each other that were pulled straight from conversations. Like, "Yep, I can use that," and there are just like mannerisms that were pulled from there, and killing them. The cultists in the book, that is, was a decent outlet once I had like click groups surrounding certain characters, and it was like, okay, I'm going for the frat bros on this one. Sorry, frat bros, but you get thrown across the lake. And then I've got another novella. I don't think I can talk about too much yet. It's on submission right now, but it is the most brutal thing I've written by far. I don't feel good about some of the kills I put in there. But it was the inspiration for it came while I was like in a job change. I tried to switch what high school I was working at. I ended up in a really toxic spot that basically muscled me out of the career that I had put everything into career-wise up to that point. And just like very angry about that and not a lot of direction in my life. So I just went full brutal and just murdered the crap out of some characters.
Yeah, so we're starting to unravel some scary stuff here. So we probably need to scalp backs.
Yeah, no. And now things are okay. I've pivoted. Everything's
like,
good.
William,
And I'm looking back at this book like,
show me where it hurts. Show us one of those dolls you have where it
right in the heart.
in the heart area.
But yeah. So the short answer is yes, and I've done it in kind of different ways. Like some of them were a little bit more pointed towards like certain collections of people, and that's not like super personal. But and then another one was just like a mad at the world sort of. I'm just gonna burn some bodies here.
I feel like a lot of authors probably do that too. Not necessarily that they're, imagining specific people, but just in general their life and putting that into their work like that.
Yeah.
Or co-hosts on shows.
Co-hosts, hey, if you want to kill me off in a story, that'd be great. You can
Well,
use
actually-
my real name.
I think I'm working on one. You do get killed off. So yeah.
That's cool. And then you take over.
No, but now that you said that, because I was struggling for a collection I'm working on with somebody else. I was struggling for another idea, but yeah, I never thought of the whole. Okay, I just thought it's okay. We'll move on. I'm not going to share it now. So
do you want to tell your terrifying peacock story?
Oh God, yeah.
You know,
All right. So
is he sweating?
Well, no. My reaction here is I tried telling this story on Jeff Carter's Weebob podcast a couple of months ago. I don't think I did it justice, so I'm going to try to do better this time. Is my big hang up and hesitation. I want to get the story right. So when I was in high school and in college, I was a cross country runner, one of those distance guys. And if you've never been involved in the distance running scene or like know what it's about, effectively,
I was believe it or not, like 100 pounds ago, I was.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. I was, but yeah, 100 pounds ago.
My oldest is doing cross country now. He's had his first couple meets the last month or so.
Yeah,
nice. Side conversation. How's it going?
He shaved. So I can't remember what the exact time was, but he ran a mile and whatever last time, and in like 15-ish minutes. And today he cut a full minute off his time, so that's pretty good.
Nice. That's the love. Just dropping it a little bit. Beat yourself.
It's what 3.1 miles for high school, right? It goes up for college. I don't remember.
He's only 7, so it's elementary school. So
yeah, I was horrible. I don't know about you guys. I was horrible. Like there's one race. We got totally off subject, but there's one race where me and another guy from my school, we knew we were dead last. It was like probably 25 schools because it was inner city Columbus, So we were like, we're out of it. We're just jogging, cracking jokes, and like, come on, let's go, because it counts for the team. Your time counts for the team, and we're like, and we're actually in the yearbook. Us last two are coming in. And I was like, I'm not being last. I just sped up real quick. And it's a picture of the yearbook. My hair was long. It was flowing in the wind. I was like,
oh, you had long hair? I can't even picture that.
Yeah, I don't even know what the question was how we got here, by the way.
Well, one more cross-country thing real quick. Not this race, but the last
race. I don't know what the original question was now.
My son was running, and my wife was like, what? How'd you do? What took you so long? And he was like, yeah, I just stopped and was picking up some walnuts for a while. I was like, what are you doing? He's just so distracted. He had them like all in his pocket, these those short shorts, so he's got all these walnuts in his pocket. No, you can't stop and pick up walnuts, man. You gotta run, man.
There's nowhere to hide walnuts in those shorts. What was he doing?
No. But he likes bugs, and he'll get rocks and sticks, just pile them over the porch. So he just had all these walnuts when he got down. I was like, oh, whatever, man. As long as you're having fun, I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah.
What was the original question?
I'll shut up. It was peacocks. Okay. Peacocks to running to murder puppets to we're everywhere.
6 degrees. How do we get here?
But yeah, okay. Hey, more runners. But anyhow, for anybody that doesn't know, like basically what a cross country practice is you put on these stupid short shorts and nothing else. The coaches point in a direction and you disappear for an hour and you show back up, and in theory you've run your mileage for the day.
Yeah.
So I went to college in Rome, Georgia, which is just middle of nowhere. I'll leave the political context out of this, but it's where Marjorie Taylor Greene is from. There you go. So I went to college there. So cross country practice in college was our coach pointing us in a direction and us being gone for about 3 hours. Right. So we got to explore every nook and cranny of this place. But we took off on the trail one day and we were bored of the usual places we went. So we made a game out of just picking random roads and running down them. So we're going down these random roads for about 30 minutes. And one of the guys on the team notices this little deer trail going off into the middle of the woods. So we take off into that. And we've got these, I'm going to say it was 7 of us, college aged dudes. We're cross country runners, so we're not like big strapping guys or anything. Like we're little Jack Skellingtons out here, dressed in nothing but short shorts, going through the woods, and we just hear this fucking velociraptor noise from somewhere around us, and it's terrifying because none of us knew what this thing was. That is not a noise. It's like if you almost step on a rattlesnake in the trail and you hear the little tail going. Like, it's not that loud, but some primal part of you knows that you're screwed. So we hear the velociraptor noise, and we all kind of like huddle up a little bit, like, okay, maybe we should turn around. And we come out into this clearing, and I don't know why. To this day, I don't get rural people and their exotic animal fixations. But we come out into this field, and there are at least 20 peacocks surrounding this one house. They are on the roof. They are in the woods. They are everywhere. And when peacocks freak out, they tuck all of their feathers against their bodies and look like velociraptors because they're not all big and colorful and splayed out like they do. They go like streamlined on you. And they all start screaming and just sprinting in random directions. So it's me and these 7 college guys, don't know where we are, nothing to defend ourselves with except some short shorts, screaming for our lives, being swarmed by these peacocks. And they're like diving off the roofs and running alongside us and just like trying to find something that looks like civilization. So we ended up, we were somehow like 11 miles away from campus, and some advisor from the college was driving around on this back road and picked us up and drove us back. But that's been just like in the back of my mind.
That's kind of weird in itself. What was he doing back there, right?
Right.
Like, I just out of nowhere, here's this professor that we know that's going to help us out, save the
What
day.
a coincidence! He just showed up.
Yeah.
Wait, Russell ran at Barry too? Cool. Go Vikings. Right, John. That's awesome. That's so weird. I went to Barry. So yeah. Cool. That's very small world. Russell, send me a message after this. We need to talk. But yeah, that's just been in the back of my mind ever since then. Like, this was an objectively terrifying moment that anybody on the outside would have laughed their asses off at. And I can work this into a story somewhere. And I've just been looking for the right place to do that. So then, yeah, with String Them Up, as soon as I decided to just have fun with it, it was kind of a natural thing. Like, let's include this element because they're out in the middle of nowhere, rural Georgia again. I think there's a couple of plop pieces that this could help out with. And then it turned out that there were a bunch of plop pieces that I could help with, having these demon birds running around along with the murder puppets.
I've never heard a peacock make noise before. So do they like the spitting noise like they do in Jurassic Park, like the raptors do, or
oh,
like that shrill? Like,
I'm gonna pull this up on YouTube. I don't know if we can get a YouTube audio pumped through. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try because I can't copy the sound.
This would be the second show in a row where we have animal sounds. By the way,
animal sounds.
Velociraptor
think about that.
She did the kookaburra last time, and it was like dead on too.
Peacock call?
And I also didn't know they could fly until we were at the zoo and there was one on the roof, and I was like, how did it escape and get on the roof? But I guess they can't just fly like, off in the distance like a normal bird, but high enough to get up somewhere.
Of a peacock.
That's not an angry noise though. Where's an angry noise?
You know, angry peacock specifically.
I don't know. They're just like the video I found. They're just like gasping and.
Here, I got one. I got one.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay.
An angry one.
Let me, Brad. I'm putting this one in the. If you can grab that link there and show it. I just put it in a private chat.
Let's see.
Hey, you know what bird doesn't fly? A turkey. Okay. Side note. I don't know what made me think of that. So,
Penguins.
Yeah.
Let's see. Share.
And also, I understand this is a horror podcast, and I'm making you listen to peacock sounds. We got here.
I don't know if the audio will come through. Can share tab audio? Okay. I think
you gotta do the audio too.
There, that one. Yeah. I swear, when you're in the middle of the woods and with no idea where you are, that is so much scarier.
I'm sure it is, because you're not expecting that. And if there's like 20 of them doing that, I'm sure it's way amped up.
Adrenaline. Woo!
Turkeys fly, Jay.
Not according to WKRP in Cincinnati.
So basically, this book, William, is just all your traumas. You just shove them into one book.
That's what we all write about, right?
Basically, this book's going to be held against you in a court of law when your wife reads it and decides to get out.
Mike, back me up here. We all write about our own personal trauma, like ghosts in barns, right?
Yeah, all that happened to Mike.
You've been chased by Mildred personally, right? This isn't just me.
I mean, the book, I haven't got, I'm maybe, like, I know Brad finished it. I'm probably close to a quarter of the way. It's been a rough week at work and all, but it looks fun. The cover makes it look fun. Where did did you have anything to do with the cover? Do you know who made the cover?
Yeah. So the cover was this little doodle that I made. I don't want to call myself an artist or anything because that is way overselling it. But like I've done little stick figure doodles since I was in high school, and it's just kind of a way for me to process things in my head sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was trying to come up with draft one of this story, I was just sitting around doodling, and I came up with the doodle of the guy strung up by his innards, kind of in puppet pose. And yeah, there he is. So I had a little doodle of that sitting above my desk the whole time I was writing it and the whole time I was revising it. And when Crystal Lake started talking to me seriously about like when we were putting this out and what we wanted to do with it and everything, they asked me if I had any ideas for the cover, and they were talking to me about maybe changing the title and trying to come up with something else. But I showed them functionally that doodle, and I think it made it all click together. Like, okay, the title "String Them Up." They're talking about stringing up these bodies, and it gets the puppet element in there too. So they brought in one of their cover artists. They made my chicken scratch actually look like cool. And yeah, there's good old Bellman.
I was gonna say I wasn't gonna spoil it, but that's a scene from the book exactly.
yeah. There's our midpoint turn of oh crap, this is real.
Yeah. So that's cool that like your initial kernel of an idea for a cover transpired to be the real one at the end. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I know that is not the case with a lot of publishers. They kind of pick it up and do whatever they want with stories sometimes and like really lean into whatever they think is marketable. But Crystal Lake has been awesome this whole time of getting my input on things and really working with me to make sure I was happy with the product we were putting out. And especially for a first publisher to work with, like that was, I'm so fortunate.
So how did that come to be? Did you just hound them until they said yes? I mean, did you keep sending it and calling? I'm joking. I'm sure they read it.
Had like an open call, didn't they?
Yeah, no, they were an open call that I sent in one of the earlier drafts to actually, when I thought the story wasn't very good. And I kind of sent the submission off and forgot about it. And then they came back to me. I don't think they called it revise and resubmit, but that's kind of functionally what it was. There were a couple of points of the story that they wanted a little bit more oomph to. And at that point, because I'd forgotten I had submitted it to them, I had a revised copy that had a little more oomph in those parts. So I was like, perfect, I can do this. Here you go. Haha. And then with that second kind of wave was the one that had the puppets like really at the forefront and had more interesting, fun kills and had the peacocks. And I think obviously I wasn't there while they were reading it, but I think letting myself shine through a little bit more than I did in the first draft might have been the thing that landed it for me.
By the way, we're going to start a little hashtag peacock horror. So we're just going to get started and just.
Hey, I really like the peacocks of this. They were fun.
We ought to get it started. So
one at the end, it's like a phoenix peacock. It's dope.
Yes, I that was not planned. That was just people talk about getting in these like writing kind of mindsets, and the story just flows through my fingertips, and that's crap. Like I never experienced that except for this one scene where I got to it and I was just like, they're kind of in the climax. All these things are happening. I need one more element. God, I got to bring the peacocks back. And it was just there. And I was like, yes. I am so happy with whatever weird ass part of my brain churned that thing out.
With the ending, well, I'm not going to say what happens at the end, but
what happens at the end, Brad?
Well, on page 178, but like it just completely escalates and just goes like
Butler did it. Go ahead.
At the end. The Butler did it with the candlestick
with the
I don't
peacock.
remember what the rooms are called in the clue.
That's one way it might have happened.
Yeah.
Heading 2.
But I love just the crazy escalation where just by the end everything is just completely batshit crazy and wild. Like was that also always the plan to have it just go like it reminded me of the content is different, but just the crazy escalation reminded me of Stephen King's Carrie at the end, where just like everything goes crazy and wild.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I
there's small similarities, but it's completely different. But
cool,
just wild at the end. Yeah.
No.
Is that the idea at the end to just go crazy or?
Yeah, the ending was always supposed to be big set piece, really throw whatever I had left at the wall, sort of a thing. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, like Todd Kiesling's Devil's Creek is, I think I read it 3 years ago, and I try not to make this comment like right when I read something, but 3 years or so, it's one of my favorite books of all time. I feel confident saying that now. And just reading it and seeing the way that he did his escalation of the horror was magnificent to me. So that was part of my drive to write this book, was kind of emulating him, emulating that thing that he pulled off in Devil's Creek with this just bigger and bigger and bigger terror occurring. And then when I went back and did the rewrites and when I was letting myself kind of have fun with it again, that was a big element of it too, was I like endings that you can't predict. One of my biggest pet peeves in books or movies or whatever else is getting through act 1 and being like, all right, I know where we're going. I don't know exactly what line they're going to say at what point. I don't know exactly what emotional triggers they're going to throw in where, but I know how this is ending and we're just going through the motions now. I don't like writing those things. So really leaning into the absurdity of it and seeing how big I could make it at the end was always the plan, but I don't think I had in mind how big I could make it or how weird I was going to get with it. That caught me a little off guard.
And like you said, it is a bit absurd, but like it didn't feel out of place. Like it felt like it was the subtle escalation, and it felt earned. It didn't feel like, okay, why is this going on now? Like it felt like in line with whatever occurred before that. Like, sometimes you'll get an ending like where this just comes out of left field and doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the story. But that's not the case with this. Even though it is big and absurd, it felt in line with the progression of the story you built up.
Oh, you just relieved one of my biggest fears. Thank you so much. Because
and you likening it to Devil's Creek, yeah, it's the same sort of the slow build up and escalation, and the ending just it's wild and crazy, but it fits within the story.
Yeah, thank you. That it's hard as a writer because you always have these ideas of what you're trying to do with the book, but until you get feedback from other people, like you don't know if you actually pull it off. A lot of times, and like I've used beta readers. I know that's a hot topic right now, but whatever. Like I've used beta readers, and they told me that the scaling like worked and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Anytime you hear a comment like that, it's thank you.
You're welcome. I also think it helped a lot that it was in this small town too, and that made it like less, like it's still crazy, but like less crazy. Like it was confined to this small main street little town, which I think
Small town horror works.
Small town horror,
like
it played well as opposed to like it being in a big city or something like that. I like the confined, almost isolation of it.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's play a game.
Let's do it.
Real quick before we do that, I think
Do we have a
Ronaldo
question?
had a comment. I don't want to skip.
Oh.
I think you should. He's talking about the cover. I think you should have given the doodle away. It'll be worth a pretty penny in the future when String 'Em Up becomes a hit. Mail me the doodle.
He's got it framed hanging in his bedroom.
He threw it away, didn't he? Did you throw it away?
I ruined the doodle.
Oh no! Trying to make it better.
No, okay, so I'm in my basement right now. This is the welcome to the Don't Go in the Basement bar. Ta-da.
Nice.
It's my little corner of the house where my wife was like, yeah, put all the horror things in that one spot so I don't have to deal with them. But I've got a bar top over here that I've taken all of my like Nightworm stickers and bookmarks and the things that Mike Clark has been sending me.
He's got a whole section of Michael Clark's swag.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah, everybody does. We have regular swag and then Michael Clark swag. It's got its own section, its own shelf.
But he's gonna show the bar up here. We'll do full screen so we can see. Yeah, that's awesome. With the creep, that looks like a Slappy, that first dummy. Yeah, that looks like Slappy totally. He just needs darker hair. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Oh, you're muted. You muted yourself. On your settings, you're at the bottom of your settings there for the
words.
There you are.
Hey.
There you go.
But anyhow, I tried pouring epoxy on that, and I didn't realize that the little cover doodle was like sitting on it. So now it's dead, Jim.
Real quick, 6-5 Braves are up. Bob in 7th. Let's play this game here.
Let's go, guys.
So whenever you bring a podcast back in the future, you need to have guests over at the horror bar and do a real life podcast. That'd be dope.
That's okay. So I live like 30 minutes outside of Atlanta. Open invitation, horror people. It's just like send me a message when you're in town, and I will host, and we will watch some whatever awful horror movie we want to watch. It's gonna be great.
Are y'all ready for some baseball trivia? You ready?
Baseball trivia, dude. That wasn't bad.
That wasn't bad. It's because I didn't say anything on it.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like you use a different voice when you do a voiceover.
Because I'm
like,
just
movie trivia.
What do you want me to do? It's movie trivia. Is that what you want me to do next time?
So what are we doing here, Brad? You came up with this one.
Specifically Atlanta Braves trivia, since you're both Braves fans. Jay has.
Are we like buzzing in, or just like I'll let him answer. If he doesn't know, then I'll take a crack. We'll just do that.
We'll do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So Jay has professed that he is the biggest Braves fan of all time. So we'll see how this goes.
I never said. I mean, lifetime long, but not big as I'm sure it's bigger.
Number 1. So this is going way back. What city were the Braves founded in? I can give you multiple choice if you'd like multiple choice.
It could be a trick question too.
I know it's one of two.
I'll give you multiple choice. They were founded in Brooklyn, Baltimore, Boston, or Birmingham.
Okay, Boston then. Yeah.
Boston.
It was either Boston or Milwaukee. I didn't remember which was first.
I thought it was going to be a trick question because it went Boston, Milwaukee, but and then Atlanta. So,
hey, Chip.
For bonus points, do you know what their original name was?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
The original name was Boston Red Stockings.
Yep.
Then it went to Boston Braves, and then they moved to Milwaukee.
What is with the Red Sox in Boston?
I don't know.
What is the?
It was Red Stockings.
So
Red Stockings,
excuse me, the stockings.
Yeah, it was a stocking back then. They went up higher on your knees.
The Boston Red Knickers.
I feel like that has to be like a Revolutionary War thing, like long socks and having a bloody or whatever, like Kurt Schilling.
Oh, Kurt.
All All right,
I'm
number
sorry.
two,
I'm
how
gonna
many-
I'm gonna avoid the Red Sox love around the Yankees fan.
I appreciate that. Can I set this up where everyone can watch it? All right. How many times did the Atlanta Braves win the National League West Division from 95 to 2005?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, they did
All-
because they did 14 straight.
Every year, all 11 times.
Yeah, because going back to 91, they did 14 straight from. So
Mhm.
yeah, those all yeah.
We
All of
baseball
them.
real good.
You trickster!
Who is the only Braves player to have played for the organization in all 3 cities it has called home?
Say that again.
Who is the only Braves player to have played for the organization in all 3 cities that they have called home?
You got this,
So
Jay.
like Boston, Milwaukee, and then Atlanta. I'll give you multiple choice.
So they played when they were in Boston. They also played when they were in
Yeah.
Milwaukee. They also
They were
played
on
when
the
they
team
were in
for each city. Yeah.
Oh,
Was it Bob Elliott, Hank Aaron, Warren Spahn, or Eddie Matthews?
I mean, off the top of my head would be Hank Aaron, just because of he's played so long. He's the most home runs, and he's their all-time leading hitter. So I would have went with that.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, super.
William, do you have a guess? Bob Elliott, Warren Spahn, or Eddie Matthews?
Warren Spahn.
Yeah.
Warren Spahn. I'm sorry.
Go with I'll go with Spawn just because I'm most familiar with him, but I don't think I'll go with Spawn, but I'm not confident in it at all.
It's hard to find somebody that played when they were in Boston all the way till when they were in Atlanta, because we're talking like a good span of several
Yeah.
years there.
Yeah. It was Eddie Matthews.
Okay.
He's one of the best third basemen ever. He played for the Braves in their last season in Boston, the entire time in Milwaukee, and their first season in Atlanta.
Okay.
Cool.
So he played from 52, which was their last season in Boston, all the way till like 1966. So he
First season in Atlanta,
okay.
yeah.
That's only 14 years or so. I guess that's fine.
It makes it seem like a lot longer.
I guess that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I mean, like Chipper played 19 years. There's some under 20. So
If he had gone 15 years, though, we would have drawn a line. Like,
yeah,
no,
we would have like no.
It's too much baseball for one guy.
Wait. Ah, crap! It's tied.
Uh-oh.
Like
Who
we
gave
really
us
need,
one?
like we would need to win. We're already in, playoffs.
But it's no longer
Yeah.
us getting in. It's making sure nobody else gets in.
Right.
You got to go into the playoffs on a good streak. You can't go in losing. Number 4, which Atlanta Braves manager holds the all-time record for ejections in Major League Baseball?
Bobby.
Bobby Cox. He cracks me up, man. He's so funny. He's got 161 career ejection.
It's fun that just like became a known factor. Like every single series, like it's not if he's gonna get ejected, it's when and how.
Yeah. What pitch was Phil Nicarino known for?
Nuxie,
Oh, Nicaro, sorry.
Phil Necro. I've
You
actually
saying
got a
Necro?
signed
You
baseball
trying to say
card for
Necro?
Necro. Yeah,
Phil Necro.
yeah. Knuckleball, Nuxie.
Knuckleball. He had 318 career victories. 16th on the all-time MLB winning list. Nice.
My grandma made drapes for him at one point, so I have a signed Phil Necro baseball card upstairs.
It's fun watching the knuckleball.
Yeah, right.
Just watching it
It just
takes forever to get. You're just like, wow, okay.
Until I've got a 3-year-old that's trying to learn how to play baseball right now, and all he throws are knuckleballs every single time. It's just like my man, harder, throw it harder, one time, please.
At least get the change-up speed, right? All right. Who was the first player inducted into the Hall of Fame after playing for the Braves?
Ooh,
In the Braves Hall of Fame or in the actual real Hall of Fame?
I believe it's just the MLB Hall of Fame. But after they played for the Braves. Who was the first player inducted into the Hall of Fame after playing for the Braves?
I don't have any guess.
You
Jay,
have a multiple choice.
Old Hoss Radbourne, Cy Young, Babe Ruth, or Roger Hornsby?
I think it's either Hornsby, Ruth, or Cy Young. Oh, wait, no. Nah, well, let's go Babe Ruth.
This one feels like a trick question.
Yeah.
It's Babe Ruth.
So I was just going with the Boston connection. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
His final
Is anybody
season was
keeping score?
No, we don't keep, that's too fancy for this. His final season was in 1935 with the Boston Braves. How many rookies did the 2005 Atlanta Braves have on the roster?
Oh God.
Was it 15, 18, 12, or 9?
Okay, so I got to figure out. All right, I was in college at that time, so now I'm trying to think of who.
Shut up.
That's Frenchie. That's McCann. That's
Brian McCann.
that's
Jeff
right. Okay.
Yep. Kelly Johnson.
Okay.
like a whole list of where are they now?
Yeah,
right.
Jeff Rancour.
Well, Jeff's back. We won't let him go. He's stuck in the booth now.
Yeah.
So was it 15, 18, 12, or 9 rookies on the roster?
My thought before you started giving answers was 12. So I'm going to go with that now that I hear you.
I was going to go with 12. 12 sounded good.
12. It's 18.
Jeez. Little babies.
Well, I mean, that's one reason why that was the last year they lost for a couple of years after that. So while they were building up, so
baby Braves.
Well, we'll finish with this one. This will be, I think, 10 questions.
Okay.
Who is the youngest player to hit a home run in the World Series?
Youngest player to hit a home run in the World Series. Okay, Braves trivia. So it's going to be a Braves player.
It's going to be a Brave. He was 19 years old.
Oh,
that feels like Jason Hayward.
I would go with Andrew Jones.
That's a good one too.
Andrew with a U. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was just inducted into the Braves. He had his number retired this past summer.
No relation to Chipper Jones. That was one of the questions. If Andrew Jones and Chipper Jones were related. It was like, we're going to skip that question. If you actually know what they look like, you know they're not related. He was 19 years, 180 days. Breaking Mickey Mantle's record of 20 years, 362 days.
Love it.
So that's
it.
He
did that on Mickey Mantle's 65th birthday. We can keep going. You want some more?
I'm good.
Did you look up more up? I mean, you're the one who did research here. I didn't want you to be let down.
I've got more.
Oh, geez. It's 9-6 Marlins now. Who's pitching?
Now they're losing.
Did all the horror people leave as we were talking about baseball?
Yeah, I think so.
How did they just clear the room?
Bryce Elder let 4 runs. What's up with that?
Nah.
We were on Jay's channel the other day doing fantasy football draft, and Chad Lutsky jumped in there. It's like, what are you nerds doing?
Oh, well. Okay.
That's good. We don't do too much sports on here very often. It's nice to switch out and do some sports.
Yeah.
So
did I win? Did you win? Who won?
I'm sure you won.
I think Jay won. As much as that hurts me to say that, to acknowledge Jay won something. So let's talk about.
You are the true Chief Nakahoma.
That was retired. What year was that retired? That was
I watched something on him the other day because I was thinking about putting the chant in there, but I didn't know if I get copyrighted for it or if
we can leave that alone.
We get canceled. We get canceled for it.
I was thinking about doing that as part of the little video, but I was like, I'm not going to go there. We'll leave that alone.
They're trying to cheat on it now a little bit. They get everybody to turn the phones, the lights on their phones now. So you're not like really chopping. You're just like waving the light on the phone. It's like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah. But they were interviewing the guy who played Chief Nakahama, and he was like, yeah, it's cool. I like it. But he was totally down for it.
Okay.
I mean, and this is recent because he was still older. It was probably a couple of years ago interview, but yeah, he was like, that was cool. He thought it was paying respects to the Braves and all that stuff. So he liked the Braves name and that ritual that they do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk about your podcast that's going on indefinite hiatus.
Is it a forever thing or?
No. And I rereading that X post. God, that sounds bad to say.
Yeah.
Rereading that Twitter post, it sounded a lot more doom and gloom than it really is.
Yeah.
So I've got a podcast that I've been doing for a while now called Killer Mediums. The basic pitch of the podcast is that I'll bring on a horror creator for each episode. We'll pick some sort of a trope within the horror genre that they've created in and that they appreciate. And we'll talk about 3 or 4 different works and how they really show off that trope in different ways. And in theory, the works are all going to be from different mediums of entertainment. So there's the title, Killer Mediums. But it'll be like, what do slasher movies do different than slasher books, different than slasher short stories, or whatever, kind of dealer's choice with the guest. And we'll talk about that. It's been amazing. I've had so much fun with it.
When did you start it?
Early
right?
2022, late 2021. I think I'm a little past the year mark. But it's been so cool. I've had a lot of cool guests come on. Ronaldo's come on before. He and Leopoldo Gu talked about multicultural horror with me for an episode. I had Paul Tremblay come on and talk about ambiguity in horror and how that worked out in his books versus Knock at the Cabin versus Take Shelter, the movie. So we got to talk about all of those kind of in a vacuum together. Mary Sangiovanni and V Castro, when they were writing the Aliens books, came on to talk about the Alien franchise. So what's different about those movies than those books? What's it like kind of creating in those worlds? It's been really cool. It's just, it's beating me up a little bit, to always have 3 movies that I'm supposed to be watching and 2 books that I'm supposed to be reading and a short story that I'm supposed to be reading, and to just always have this stuff in the back burner of like, there's your list, you got to go read that.
It is harder than what it sounds, right? I mean,
yeah.
We only have to read one book. We don't have to read all the extra movies or watch all the extra movies.
It's even hard just to get a book done because, I mean, there's a reason why we try to only do a couple a month. And it seems like every now and then we're messaging each other, hey, can we fit this one in? Can we fit this one in? It's like,
yeah,
come on, man. Yeah. So is yours just audio only? Or is there video?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am technologically stupid, so it's audio only. I avoid the whole video aspect of things just because I don't know how to edit it. But yeah, like you were saying, Brad, it's going on a hiatus for a while just so I can regroup. My TBR stack has been screaming at me for the last year and a half. Like Cynthia Pelayo's Children of Chicago. Yeah. I got a like mystery book box from Little Ghost Books back in January, and they sent me a signed copy of Children of Chicago by her. And I was like, this has been on my list for forever. I've got a signed copy of it now. I am reading this tonight. And then the podcast just like got me to this week. And I'm like, how am I still not getting into like not reading books that I want to read? Because I do want to read the books that I'm reading for the podcast and all of the guest books and everything else. Like they're really good books also. But also there's this whole nother pile that's been calling to me that I'm like, I want you also.
All this.
If I turn the light on behind me, you'll see the shelves. Dude, you're not, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. You're totally preaching to the choir. Because like I was just telling Brad the other day, I was like, gosh, there's so many other books I want to read to get to, but now it's become, I got to read something for whoever's coming up on the show next.
Right.
I have something to talk about. I can't bullshit my way through every show.
And that sounds bad to say like that. Like we have to read it for the show. Like we're not enjoying it. But like I loved all the books we've read for the show. But then there's books that like don't have anything to do with the show that I want to read too.
Yeah. And you just got that big book haul.
Man, it's just ridiculous. Someone asked me how big my TBR is. Like, I don't even want to know.
Like 9 years. I don't go by book numbers anymore. I go by years and how big my TBR is. So
like this pile of books that goes all the way to the wall, it's like 300, 400 books there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel it.
Yeah, there's not going to be enough years left of my life to get to what I to get to what I got to get to. But I'll keep trying for the show, though.
Right.
Yeah.
It is fun because, like, for the show, I feel like there are books I will prioritize for the show that maybe I wouldn't have got to otherwise, even though I still want to read them. So it does make me want to, or does do that for me. Like, there's certain books like I have here that like I probably would have never gotten to, maybe, even though I want to read them if it wasn't for the show. So it's like a give and take kind of thing.
Yeah.
TBR stress for sure.
So, yeah.
I don't even stress because if you stress about it, then it's ruined. So I don't stress about it, but just like I just know I'm not going to get to everything. And
I do the thing where I start reading it, but my mind is only on how big of the pile is. So I'm not really taking in what I'm reading. And then I used to do like 9-10 books at a time, and I would lose myself in each one, But I'll start reading a book, and then like my mind's wandering everywhere, and things are going on in the background, and all I can think about is, well, shoot, I need to do 5 other books for 5 shows before this one, and I'm stuck. And then it becomes some weird math, and I quit. So
the math came in and Jay's done.
I'm like,
what made you want to start a podcast? Was it something you always wanted to do? Have you had a podcast before? Or?
He watched us once, and
no, he didn't.
Said I could do that.
He watched us. He's like, that's what I'm exactly not. That's not the right thing to do. I'm going to do something completely different.
Yes, but no. No, the motivation was I guested on a couple of podcasts, kind of, but in the before times. I don't know how to call it. I guested on a couple of podcasts and realized I just really enjoyed getting a chance to talk to like-minded people. It's not that horror people aren't around in our everyday lives, but having an excuse to sit down for an hour and just be a nerd with somebody was just so enjoyable. The couple times I did it on somebody else's podcast, I wanted to give myself an excuse to do it more regularly, because it for all the authors out there, like we know how hard it is to get on a podcast and to find the time to do it, and everybody's so busy. So if you're relying on other people to get on their podcast, it's kind of hit or miss, like when you can actually talk to a friend. And I wanted to give myself an intentional excuse at least once a month was the first idea, to sit down with somebody that I enjoyed, that I admired, that I could really just be myself around, and connect like minds for a little bit. There's that stupid meme where the person gets home and they take off their human skin and they're just a demon. And it feels like starting the podcast was kind of my way to do that semi-regularly.
Yeah, but that's got to be hard though, because it's like you're having a different theme each time. So you had, we're just 2 dopes with microphones. We just need to read a little something of whoever we're talking about, and we can fill an hour and a half. You're coming up with like a different theme, doing research, basically writing a 9,000 word essay on the side for it, so you can compare these 2 mediums, and it's just like, yeah, I could see some burnout there, and you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, I never landed a co-host, because I think that pitch of read 3 things and watch 2 things by this Friday night, like that didn't sell.
By the way, there might be an opening in paper cuts. Just we
fall off.
Yeah. The other guy doesn't
over there.
Yeah.
No.
The other guy over there doesn't realize there might be an opening there.
Just hand Jay the keys to the castle over here.
I'm surprised I haven't shut the show down by now. I have a history.
I'm not going to let you. You're stuck. I'm sorry. You signed your soul away on the contract, Jay.
So I mean, did you have like a list that you were going to do each? So it wouldn't just be, okay, this month let's compare slashers, or did you like have something, okay, like a wheel or so, like some darts? How'd you pick what the subject was going to be for each episode?
So the way I got away with it, and the answer to this question are kind of one and the same, of like I kind of didn't. I had a little bit of like 50-50 of people I reached out to try to do an episode with, and people that reached out to me to try to do an episode with me. And like every time I kind of put the put the decision making on them. So like, you've got this thing coming out. What sort of a trope do you think it fits into? What other things would kind of comp with it? So one of the more recent episodes I did was with Kat Valor talking about revenge arcs in horror. And she had a book come out called Revenge Arc, and it was just like this perfect marriage. But she had that book coming out, so that was going to be topic number one. And then the theme kind of set itself up with revenge arcs. And then it was just talking to her about like, what other revenge arcs like did you like lean on for inspiration here, or which other revenge arcs do you want? She came up with Martyrs, and she came up with Revenge from 2018 or whenever that came out. But she came out with these just batshit movies that I never would have like stumbled across myself. And I don't want to say I'm better for having watched them, especially not with Martyrs, but like I have witnessed.
Nice.
I have witnessed something now thanks to her in that episode. But that was a lot of the fun of the podcast, was getting exposed to things that I would have been blind to. And then in the episode itself, just me getting the hell out of the guest's way and being like, you're the expert here. You are the one that studied this stuff enough to like write a book about it. You talk about it. And every single time they were off to the races as soon as I opened the floodgates for them. And I didn't have to be smart because the guests were so awesome about it.
Yeah. We love it when the guests talk the whole time, so we don't have to say anything. That's
you
like
were able to take something that's current, their new thing, still able to get the word out about that, and then you kind of went backwards how it's the same as or different or compares to other things. But it was a pretty creative way to get the word out about their current piece of work out there for people. So yeah, that's pretty creative. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks.
I feel like that'd probably draw more viewers in too, because you're talking about books and movies, so you can get the movie fans and the book fans, get those together.
Yeah, and that was Neil McRobert from Talking Scared came on to talk about gothic horror, and we mentioned Crimson Peak in it, and he was funny about it afterwards because he kept tagging Guillermo del Toro and stuff, and like trying to get him to bite. It was like, man, if you can pull this off, then it's gonna be gonna be something.
He might have that power now because he's had Stephen King on, so he might have that pull.
Right. Yeah, I'm still blown away by that interview.
Go back and retag Guillermo now. You've had Stephen King on.
Yeah,
the show out for me.
Yeah.
So for you as a writer, since you're talking to other authors on your show, have you learned anything, or has your writing grown or changed since you've had this opportunity to interact and chat with all these other authors in this more kind of intimate, podcast setting?
Oh, 200%. Yeah. For as isolated of an activity as like writing and scripting and creating and stuff like that is, like, you have to lean on the community, because there are so many books that you haven't read and movies that you haven't seen. Like, no matter how much time you sit here digging through your TBR stack, like there's going to be stuff that you just haven't accessed before. That other people have. So putting heads together, leaning on other people's wealth of knowledge, learning from each other. I think that the community aspect of this, especially in something as rich as the horror community, like, we are not all good people, but there are so many good people in this community. If you're not using your resources and interacting with the people around you, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Every episode I've walked away with some other little nugget of like, man, I could really work that into a story, or man, they were really passionate about this aspect of what they were doing, and I need to bring a little bit of that just like energy into this thing that I'm working on, or what have you.
All right.
Do you have for people who haven't listened to Killer Mediums, what are a few episodes you'd pitch out? Like, this is like quintessential episode you should listen to. I'm sure they're not to say that they're not all good, but like few of those milestone ones, like go listen to this one and check this one out, stuff like that.
Yeah. So the two with the most listens right now, and this is fun. I don't think I've really revealed this yet, but they keep going back and forth. Like one will get one more listen than the other one, then the other one will bounce back. Paul Tremblay's Ambiguous Horror got tons of views straight out of the gate because I think it was one of the first interviews where I talked to him and he was like talking a little bit about Knock at the Cabin. I know there was this big embargo on him not saying too much about that beforehand, but I got a little bit out of him about it. Nice. So I think that was a big draw. And then Todd Kiesling's episode about small town horror. The dude brings in viewers or brings in listeners, and the two of them just keep going back and forth. But other episodes that aren't getting as many views, but I think they're just so cool. Trevor Williamson from Slay House Lit Bits came on to talk about children's horror. So we went through Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. We went through Goosebumps. We kind of tracked them all the way up to the modern day. Just the well of knowledge he has about EC Comics and R.L. Stine and all of the rest of that. It was amazing to just sit back and listen to him. And he got into like the psychology of why it's important for kids to like grapple with their fears in a safe environment, and just like he went off on that whole interview, and it was amazing. Nice. And then I got to interview Dr. Matthias Clausen, who is from the Recreational Fear Labs in Aarhus University in Denmark. Denmark? Sounds right. Basically what that whole lab is about is studying why people enjoy being scared. So they are researchers going into haunted houses and trying to pull statistical data about what scares people and what scares are like enjoyable scares versus trauma-inducing scares. Tracking horror movies, tracking horror books, seeing how all of this weaves together, and they're putting together some really cool work about the importance of recreational fear. And just getting to pick his brain. I had my wife guest on that episode because she's a counselor. So we had the psychologist and we had the counselor just talking nerd talk to each other the whole time. Me just sitting there like, yes, you two are very smart.
Isn't it frustrating sometimes though? Like those that you really get into, that you have great conversations with, but it's almost like people are not giving them a chance, like those episodes, because we have them too. There have been some shows where we're like, afterwards we're exhausted, we're like, that was a good show, and then we look and it's like low views. We're like, what the hell? This was a good conversation.
That kills me.
Yeah.
The second episode with Sam Richard comes to mind because that was like a 2-hour conversation. It was fantastic, and it has not the views I would have liked for it.
Yeah But it's hard to promote them because you don't know, one day it's Twitter, the next day it's X. You're like, well, what the hell? How are we promoting this? So,
Recreational Fear Lab sounds like an awesome title for a book. It does.
Yes. Yeah. Go look at their website. Like everything to do with them is just it just oozes cool. Which is weird to say about a research lab.
Oozing in a lab's not a good thing.
I'm gonna go full Resident Evil here in a second. No. But yeah, it's hard when all the advertising or all the marketing for a certain episode that people are going to engage with is just the title card. And if like the title card or the guest's name doesn't draw somebody in, they don't know they don't know the quality of the episode until they're in it. And a lot of people, like, you need that initial to draw them in. So yeah, I don't know. I've kind of gone back and forth on it. It's a little bit frustrating that I can't direct more people towards those episodes that are yes. But at the same time, it's cool that there is such a breadth of episodes out, not just with my podcast, but with all the other podcasts. Like the library of information and interviews that all of us podcasters are amassing right now collectively is like, it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't find the Recreational Fear Labs episode until 4 years from now.
Right.
The episode's
Because
still
it's out
cool.
there. People can.
Yeah. So I'm trying not to put too much stock into who's listened to what, because it's not the number of clicks so much. It's the quality of the product. Calling it a product sounds gross, but whatever.
So can you tease what you have? What, 3 episodes left? Is it 3 or 4?
Yeah. I've got 4 episodes left, and then I'm going to take a break for however long I need to. I keep trying to take like timed breaks. Like, I'm not going to do another episode until November, and now I've got 4 more lined up. Damn it. But one episode is going to be with Robert Atone and a couple of other guests talking about assembling horror collections. It's going to be 3 guys that have horror collections coming out, and we're going to talk about like the difference between a themed anthology versus just a random collection and what might inspire them to do this versus that. That'll be really fun because knowing Robert, we're going to get completely sidetracked and we're just going to have fun instead of actually talking about the thing.
We know that firsthand. I mean, he's a talker. He's one of the ones we like when they could talk and we don't have to do a whole lot. But some of the roads we go down.
I think his first episode when he was on, it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
Yeah,
and it could have gone on longer, but it was like
it started out one way. We were so focused, and by the end of it, I don't know what we were talking about. So,
so we've got his episode. I've got Jeff Carter from the We Bleed Orange and Black podcast coming on for a Halloween episode. We're intentionally going to try to find some not typically thought about Halloween things to talk about. So that's going to be what is that book, or what is that movie called? Hack and Slash, or crap, I can't come up with the title now, so this is just going to sound stupid. But there's some movie from the 80s that he really likes that he thinks embodies the theme of Halloween. There's a Choose Your Own Adventure Halloween book that he's found that I'm on my 3rd playthrough of, and it's really cool. But we're going to do a bunch of Halloween stuff and not just like Trick or Treat and Michael Myers and the usual stuff. I've got an episode coming out in November with Preston Fassel.
His book sounds awesome. The Beast of 42th Street, or whatever it's called.
Oh, okay. So we did that episode already. We did an urban horror episode about that. He's going to come back on though, because he has a nonfiction book coming out about horror therapy. How we like find solace in these stories and how we use horror as a medium for overcoming adversity in our own lives, finding I don't know, safety in the murders. But he goes through a lot of the big franchises and talks about how they relate to things that were going on in the real world. And it just sounds really cool. And my wife, the counselor, is going to come on for that episode again, and we're going to get super nerdy into the psychology of all of it. And then there's one more episode that I'm not allowed to talk about yet because the thing that it's based on hasn't been officially announced yet, even though it sort of has. I don't know. But there's one more that's in the can that I just get to release whenever they greenlight the project.
Nice. I love the podcast secrets.
Yeah, right. It's how much trouble am I going to get in with you if I say this?
Yeah. Russell's got a question. We do not follow an outline whatsoever. I don't know. William, do you all follow an outline for the show, or do you follow one?
Very loosely. Again, I just kind of chase the guest wherever they go. But as I watch the movies and read the books, what I'll send to the guests in advance is, okay, here are the 3 topics you picked. Here's a connecting thread or 2 that I kind of see between them. And then here's 1 or 2 thoughts that I have about each of the topics. And we can get into that if you want to, or we can go somewhere else. But I think it gives the guests a sense of ease, kind of knowing where my head is before I hit record. Especially when we're doing like these deep dives into like what makes a slasher tick. Like, I don't know where he's going to go with this. So just giving them a couple of little bullets. I think helps the episodes have a little bit of structure, and it gives me something to fall back on when I go completely like brain turn off. Like, what are we doing? That bullet. Okay, we can go back to this.
We should probably have an outline, but we're probably too lazy.
It's not like we're going to keep.
We go all over the place.
We have a little bit of a structure. Like we have a guest.
Yeah.
We try to read something. I mean, we do a little bit. We do a little research ahead of time, so we know what to.
Well, I'm not saying we don't do research, but
right?
There's no structure.
We have the intro, and then I usually do the start off the show. And then,
I hit end stream and we're done. And wave.
Yeah, and if we have a reading or a game, we'll fit those in at certain times. So I mean, it's very small,
the loosest structure you could possibly have without it just completely falling apart.
The smallest outline possible. So and then we don't follow it half the time. So.
We do read the books, so we read the books, so at least we know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
we don't have like a See how much trouble I get for this. We don't have a set of like a band. Like when you go see a band and they're playing the same set list every night. We don't have a set of questions that we will use for every episode. If I dig myself deeper,
our set question is what do you normally do on is our set question.
Are you drinking?
Yeah.
Cheers.
So that's that. So you're taking a break. You're going to recharge your batteries basically, and
and it's not an end of the podcast. It's all right. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a lot shorter than you are expecting or wanting it to be, probably too.
And I already hate myself for that.
We usually take off, Thanksgiving time, and then most of December we take off, and then I think both of us start getting a little itchy for a new show during that time. We need it off to kind of recharge and revamp things, and do whatever. But yeah, the longer you're off, you're like, okay. But then when you start up again, you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted already.
It's different because we're live, so it's not like we can pre-record and then batch record and release them piecemeal. Like the scheduled day is when we have to do it, so it's a bit different for us compared to recording it and putting it out whenever.
I could imagine like doing several shows a week and having them in the bank and doing them. It's just nuts.
William's house is haunted.
Yeah, no. I don't
know. That's probably your cue to get out of here, so that we can start working on wrapping this up. And where can people find you?
You're
on the X. You're on the X.
I'm on the X at spooky_Sterling. I am on Instagram at spooky_Sterling. Those are the two constants. I tried Threads for a second.
I keep getting alerts on that thing, and I've not opened it once.
I forget about it.
Yeah.
There's too many now. Forget about them.
Blue sky is cloudy now, and it's just
yeah.
Oh, that was a good bad joke right there.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'll stop there. Like other socials for me exist, but I don't necessarily want to direct people to them because I don't know how long they're going to last, and I don't know.
Can you give out your phone number? I'll come joking.
Yeah, it's 8675309.
Yeah. What's your address so people can look inside your window at night at the dolls?
Somewhere near Atlanta. That's all you hyenas get. For now.
William, it's been fun. What do you have, Brad?
I would say to close this out, what's your elevator pitch for String Them Up for anyone who's not already interested with killer dolls and maybe potentially killer peacocks?
Yeah, no, that's the whole sales pitch. It's just murder puppets. We're bringing murder puppets back. Rachel Harrison started the ball rolling. Grady Hendrix kept it rolling. It's an avalanche now. Take your murder puppets.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun, especially the peacocks. Just they crack me up in the best of ways.
This is from Crystal Lake. What's the release date? The 22nd?
Yes, September 22nd. So we got a week left.
September 22nd. This is you'll be able to find us wherever Amazon. I usually see Crystal Lake stuff. Crystal Lake doing it directly too from the website, or
Yeah.
do they? Okay.
Yep.
In
Talk to
pre-orders, you
paperback,
can be
ebook,
entered into
all
the
that
win
stuff.
to the creepy doll. What's her name? Sally.
Yeah. I
Pre-order
should
the book so you can win Sally potentially. Yeah, bring that home with you. That's a good incentive to pre-order the book.
Let one of the kids take that for show and tell.
Look at her.
Yeah, no.
Look at her face. It's gross.
Whee!
Yeah. That
hate
that
you
needs
so
to be
much.
your new profile picture. just that right up in the camera.
Maybe until the book releases, and then I like scrub her from my life forever.
Forever. Be gone.
This is William Sterling, everyone, and the book is String Them Up, September 22nd. That's when you want to pick it up. Do some pre-orders now and grab it. But yeah, Crystal Lake Publishing releasing a puppet series. Ooh. Forget Goosebumps.
Are you trying to get him to write a book too, Jay? Is that what you're trying to do?
That's what I was trying to do. Like I have a whole series of it. So there you have it. That's going to wrap things up. William, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Best of luck selling this book and getting it out there into the world. Hopefully you're not taking too long time away from your killer medium. So,
yeah, it's a good show. Definitely don't stay away too long.
Be like the Taco Bell fries. Take it away for a while so people will want it. And then come back. When you come back, people will go crazy about it. So
yeah, the McRib. It's the McRib.
It's much better than a McRib. Don't compare yourself to a McRib.
That's gonna do it, everyone. Everyone in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Glad you got to see us. And
appreciate you hanging out, man.
Go Braves.
Yeah. Go Braves.
They lost tonight, but we won't speak about that. It doesn't matter.
You ruined his night, Jay. You ruined
it. It'll be all right. It'll be
like he's probably hearing people shooting guns right now in Georgia because they lost. So
no, they shoot the guns when we lose. They shoot the guns when we win.
Yeah.
God, when Georgia won the national championship for the first time.
We don't need to talk about that. Why would you ruin a show like that? way to go out on a downward slide there, dude. Okay. I'm done with you.
Jay.
We're done.
Love you, Jay.
I know you do.